Hi there, I'm Laddick, your host for the 2021 eLearning Success Summit, which is presented by OpenLMS. In this session, I welcome Mark Pare to the main stage. Mark is an award-winning instructional designer, teacher, and digital content producer with over 30 years of experience in teaching, curriculum development, digital media production, and teacher professional development. Mark is a learning designer at the Association of Independent Schools of New South Wales in Australia. In this session, Mark presents why engaging e-learning requires design before delivery. He clarifies the mystery of learning design, presents models that can be used today to design learning, and offers a host of tools, tech, and frameworks for creating the most engaging experience possible for learners. Before we dive in, though, a couple of quick reminders. First, please make sure you follow along in the Summit's Slack workspace, where you can ask questions and get real-time feedback for this session. You can connect with other e-learning professionals in our social channels, and you can get all of your e-learning questions answered by our sponsors. It's a no-brainer. If you haven't joined the Slack, just sign up and jump in right now at elearningsuccesssummit.com/Slack. Next, a brief thank you to the sponsors that have made this year's event possible. I really encourage you to please make sure you take some time to learn more about them by visiting them in their respective Slack channels as well. And here they are right now. Finally, as you know, all of the presentations at the summit offer a ton of value. They offer a ton of insight, and there are experiences here that you can use right now today. However, if you are like most of us and you're squeezed for time, or you're not going to be able to spend the next hour listening to Mark, I want to remind you that you can purchase an all-access pass for the summit. The All Access Pass provides a ton of value with lifetime access to this session and all of the other sessions. It offers bonuses from speakers and sponsors and access to the exclusive social groups that we've created just for this event. And we've also thrown in access to all of the sessions from the 2020 summit as well. So it seems like it's kind of a no-brainer. If you're interested, please visit elearningsuccesssummit.com/AAP to purchase your pass today. And now, without further ado, let's head over to the main stage with Mark. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the eLearning Success Summit stage. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Hello, pleased to be here.
Mark, as I do with everybody, where do we find you sitting today?
Well, I'm standing in Sydney. I'm in Sydney, Australia.
Oh, fantastic. I've also been asking everybody who comes on the stage as well, since it's 1 year essentially since the global lockdown started. Can you just give us a brief update right now, kind of a time capsule of what is this COVID situation right now for you? What do things look like, and how are you faring?
Well, it's still a thing. It's still in the news. We've kind of had a long period of time, like a month or so now, with very few, if any, cases, which is remarkable when you think globally. However, just I guess there's a few news reports of cases here and there, so it's still a thing. It's still something that we need. It's very much in our thoughts. Oh, sorry. And then the talk of the vaccine as well. It's all kind of on everyone's mind. And then awesome. I guess it's because it's an educational institution. We're still having lots of discussions about the response to COVID-19.
Fantastic. Mark, you are a designer, and you're going to be talking about designing before presenting, before getting in the classroom. Like, what are you going to do to create an engaging experience? So without further ado, I know that you have a serious deck that you're going to be walking us through. So I'm ready for the ride, basically. So why don't you share your screen and we'll take off from there.
Okay, I'll do that. Just give me a minute.
Hi there. While we're setting up the slides for the presentation, 3 quick reminders. First, check out the Slack for the live Q&A during this presentation and connect with other e-learning professionals right now. Second, also use the Slack to visit our sponsors. They make this event possible, and they can answer all your questions about e-learning. And then finally, if you don't have the time to watch this entire presentation, please consider purchasing an all-access pass to be able to watch the whole session at your leisure. Please visit elearningsuccesssummit.com/AAP to purchase your pass today. Now, on with the show.
The title of my presentation, e-learning, design before delivery. I like to start with this motif. It's this idea of having general clutter, overwhelm, but moving to a position of clarity, ideas, design, So we'll find out more about that as we go through. So successful e-learning begins with thinking about the learning design process. So my presentation is all about learning design. So as we know, teachers, trainers and facilitators are time poor. And today we'll explore some design processes and some of the modes of delivery that support online learning, e-learning. So in this presentation, I hope to clarify the mystery of learning design. I'm going to be looking at some models, sharing some models, ADDIE and SAMR for e-learning, and also some practical tools, technologies and frameworks. So here's me. I just wanted to start off with a little bit about me. I am an instructional designer, also a teacher, digital content producer. I have about 30 years experience in teaching, curriculum development, digital media production and teacher professional development. Now, these are screenshots from some of the resources that I have developed. I haven't done it alone. I've mainly been in a role as the producer or the learning designer. So, and there's a really broad range of different things I've worked on. The colourful buttons just below my photograph, that's a resource to teach firefighters how to use the red phone for safety in a building to help with evacuations. The other one next to that is a medical resource. It was a CD-ROM back in the days of CD-ROMs in the 90s. They were good times. But that was to teach. It was part of telehealth, which is remote doctors that might be in a remote location. You can see that boxing kangaroo that you might recognise from the Olympics. I've developed resources for various Beijing Olympics, London Olympics. Just above that one is drug education. That was a resource that went out across Australia about teaching young people about drugs. And there's a few others there, courtroom, but I've definitely worked across universities, schools, corporate. So at the moment, I am with the Association of Independent Schools of New South Wales, and they are a peak body supporting and representing independent education, independent schools. So things like, we offer things like advice, consultancy, and significantly professional learning to almost 500 independent schools in New South Wales. So I work in a specific team called the Learning Design Hub, and one of our key aims is to share, nurture and grow learning design. And after the events of last year, 2020, there was a significant interest in learning design and e-learning. So we collaboratively design and develop learning experiences, mostly for teachers, but we also build staff capabilities in learning design. And we work across, we're quite collegial in our role. So there's lots of professional development in that mix. And then we're a team of, all these people. I'm in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So 2020, a lot of teachers moved from face-to-face, the classroom experience, to an online experience. For many, this meant using what they were already doing in the classroom, but transposing or moving that on to an online context. So what we're experiencing now at the moment with Zoom, a lot of teachers, that was the first time they'd used Zoom. Other teachers were already using it, as well as other digital technologies. So here's another extension of COVID-19. We found that it opened the door to thinking about how teaching might be done differently using technology. So as I said, some teachers were already doing this really well. Other teachers were a little bit burned by the process. There was too much happening in, a very kind of short period of time. E-learning was totally new for some, others were already on that journey. So this idea of a rapid transition to e-learning, that's definitely central to our thinking, as well as engaging with online systems. What does that look like? How can it be done well to meet the needs of the learner? So here's a question: what is learning design anyway? So sometimes it goes by different names. Sometimes it's instructional design or user experience design. So what do we mean by that? So essentially creating good learning that where we like to think of content is important, but content isn't necessarily central. Content is not king. So we'll discuss this a little bit later. We like to focus more on the decisions, the skills, and the knowledge, how people learn, and how can we structure content and activities for student learning. That might be based on research and other factors. And a lot of what a learning designer does, or what learning design entails, is creating media to support learning. That might be visual aids, infographics, interactive exercises, animations. And a key part that was signalled last year was transforming instructional materials created for one format, as in face-to-face, to another format, e-learning. So that's what my presentation is going to explore. Now, I like this diagram. Learning design, I find, when it's done well, is often invisible in the final resource or experience. Sure. So we've got an invisible triangle there. But all good design, if it's done well, you don't necessarily notice that it has been designed. And so that's a good talking point, especially if people are new to this concept of learning design. And you can see the person in the diagram, there's all this clutter, but the thoughts are being organised and you're working towards a purpose. But I think that's why I'm just bringing this up. It's really important to acknowledge that teachers might be engaging with learning design already, but it's not always easy to notice, especially if it's been done well. So part of this territory, some really excellent learning modes that work well online, that is with appropriate planning and design, are shown on this screen. Things like collaboration, discussion, feedback and reflection, independent learning. All of these are not content necessarily. They're linked to the content, but they're different modes of learning. They're digital pedagogy. I tend to avoid the P word. I just like to use learning and teaching. Sure. But it's essentially, it's what teachers, some teachers might be using these approaches already in their face-to-face experiences, but it's highly significant in e-learning.